Since you're here on automotive YouTube, I'm going to assume that you already know the LS430 is argued to be the best car ever made, and so I've been on the hunt for one for many months. As you probably know, if you've ever seen any of my other videos, I imported a Toyota Celsior, which is the LS400, last year, and it was amazing. I did tons of work to it and really loved it, but I really wanted to get into the LS430, and the reason is because, like I said, people argue that it is simply the best car ever made. It's so well refined, and even today, nearly 25 years later, it still holds up incredibly well. I just got really worried thinking this was a rust spot, but it is not, thank goodness. The criteria that I needed for this particular car, which turned out to be much harder to find than I thought, was I wanted black exterior, mostly fine cosmetically, although that's not ideal. That doesn't look like a factory panel though. And then I also wanted the interior to be mostly in, oh, of course. I wanted the interior to be in good shape, and luckily this one is. A bit dirty, but seats are not torn, and a lot of times what you'll find in these LS430s is they either have super high mileage, weren't taken care of, or both. This particular one has 175,000 miles. Sounds like there's some kind of electric motor over here. It's very upset, probably this wing mirror. I wonder if I can make that stop somehow. I wish it would just not do that. I don't need it to try to retract. And then also, as you can see, my leg doesn't fit under the thing because the tilt is broken. There are some very minor things like that. However, I scored this car for such a killer deal because it has a major drawback. That is the transmission. Transmission has problems. It's slow to engage in drive. And also, sometimes you can hear it kind of whining. It's like a roar. So I'll see if I can show you a little clip that I recorded. Now, why does everybody rave about the reliability and comfort of these? Well, it's that right there. It's the 3UZ FE engine. So this is an evolution of the 1UZ that was found in the Celsior and the LS400. And of course, there's also the 2UZ, which the Land Cruiser and the LX470 and the Tundra, among other things, found. This, unfortunately, doesn't keep itself up. So I'm having to hold my hand on this hood strut. So there's one thing that I have to take care of. But it's a good sign to see all the plastic panels are there, despite some of them missing clips. Power steering reservoir is yucky, so we'll have to swap that. There's tons of work and tons of potential, you know, in this car. And my goal with this thing is to use it. I mean, I want to make it perfect. I've already noticed in a little test drive around my neighborhood that the front left strut kind of mount appears to be bad, and then the rear right shock seems to be bad. But other than that, I mean, the major components work. The engine runs and drives. It starts up on a dime. It's got a relatively new battery. Somewhat okay service history. Pretty decent stuff, you know, like recent oil changes. They said that the timing belt and the water pump gasket has been replaced. It doesn't specifically say the water pump itself, which is a little concerning. But overall, I am very, very happy with this car. It sat under a tree at the previous owner's house, but I mean, it looks like this backseat was barely sat in. In fact, I want to sit in it. Oh boy. That is comfortable. AC works, the stereo is banging, like I said. I mean, this thing is amazing. This thing has such great potential. I want to drive it, I want to use it, I want to fix the imperfections. Things like the yellowed headlights. It sounds like there's a belt tensioner that it might need because sometimes it clicks a little bit when it's cold. Just things like that. I want to dial this thing in. And that's why the criteria I mentioned for this particular vehicle was what it was. I wanted that black exterior. Didn't really care about the interior color, although if it was black on black, that would have been perfecto. But otherwise, it just needed something to do on the channel. I didn't want it to be beat up body-wise. I don't want to mess with body and paint. But outside of that, it's got so much life left in it. I mean, these cars are known to go to 300,000 miles easily. So I could see myself keeping this for easily 10 years. So on the topic of transmission issues, the previous owner took this car to a transmission shop. That doesn't instill much confidence in me personally, but they claim that they drained the fluid and put a new filter in. However, it doesn't specify here. It just says transmission service and shop supplies. There's no labor, there's just parts. So I decided to take a chance on this car because I figured they might not have done the procedure properly. In these Toyotas, in this 1UZ family, this series of transmission has a specific requirement where you need to drain it and then of course make sure the capacity is correct. But what you have to do is put the car in all of the gears one by one slowly and hold it there for I think like 30 seconds each. It's a pretty substantial amount of time that lets the fluid kind of pump through the various systems in the transmission, and I'm suspecting that probably wasn't done. Nobody is going to care about this car as much as a Toyota nut like myself, so I took a chance. I bought the car in hopes that maybe we can rescue this transmission before it's totally dead. However, of course, I got an amazing deal. So even if we have to go get a whole other transmission out of some other car, we're still going to be way ahead. So what is that deal that I got? Well, I paid just a cool $1,500 for this car. How crazy is that? $1,500. It took the seller many months to actually decide to sell it. I had been in touch with him many times, and it's a one-owner car. His dad purchased it brand new off the lot. In fact, I have the window sticker, which we'll look at in just a minute. It's too hot in here. Let's get this AC going. Oh yeah, it fires right up. Kind of has a little wiggle on the RPM gauge, which is a little funny. But yeah, oh my gosh, look at that. Outside 102. So let's see if we can find that window sticker. Here it is right here. Look at this. 2001 Lexus. Look at that, 54,000 total, 55,795, man. That is crazy. And it actually gets pretty decent gas mileage. My Land Cruiser with the 2UZ gets nowhere near that, especially around town. It'll get like 12 or 13 if I'm lucky. That's kind of ridiculous. But man, look at that. It was sold to JM Lexus in Margate, Florida. And so this car has been a Florida car its entire life, which is absolutely fantastic. Zero rust, which is exactly what I would want. Of course, we have the original Lexus book here, the owner's manual, and we have some cards from that particular dealership, which is awesome. Right over here in this uppermost glove box. That was down there in the lower. What goodies do we have in the center console? I haven't, oh, there's absolutely nothing. Okay. Bummer. That's always a fun discovery. And then this thing was apparently like Velcroed shut because it didn't stay open. I don't actually know what's behind there, but the AC blows cold. The CD player works. So fantastic. I mean, what else is there to say? It's an LS430 that needs work, but I'm going to bring it back to life. I want the suspension to be perfect, like it rolled off the showroom floor. Dude, I mean, this thing is a 2001 and it has dual zone climate control. How awesome is that? All right, so let's see if I can replicate the noises the transmission makes. The car's been warmed up for a little bit now. I don't like that noise. Let's see if we put it over in 4 instead of D. Yeah, it just doesn't sound great. And then let's see if I can get it to replicate the shock noise. Okay, here we go, big bump. Oh, just so much like type noises from the rear suspension. Does it still give us that same whiny in 3? Yeah, okay, so it's all gears. I mean, it's totally possible this transmission could just be toast. Let's get this thing back to the headquarters, figure out what those lights are all about, and then see if we can check the transmission fluid now that we got the trans warmed up a bit. I'm hoping maybe it's just low, or possibly it's overfilled, and then we will score the deal of a friggin' lifetime. Got our handy dandy wood plank here, just like the LS400 when I first took possession of it. It's also a weird, like, slurping, sort of like sucking sound, like coming. Also, it had coil packs replaced, and I don't think those are OEM Toyota, which is not gonna fly. All right, let's check the training fluid. I had to put on a friggin' welding glove because it's so hot in there. But man, if I'm reading this correctly, the hot line is right there, cold is down here. I wiped it off twice and immediately pulled it out, and the level is up there. I mean, that's, if that's true, that's way, way, way overfilled. And then, I mean, on the other side, that's probably from sliding down the wall of the transmission dipstick tube. But let's look right there, like kind of in line with that middle finger. Flip that over. Yeah, I mean, that's where it is. I mean, I think the transmission is like massively overfilled. It should be between these two. That is nuts. The transmission dipstick port is down there in the hottest part of the engine, right on the valve cover. There's so much heat pouring out of here. You can probably see like the heat shimmer. Engine sounds smooth though. Listen to those injectors tick, 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 tick. Ooh, that's beautiful. Also, I just came out here to try and read those codes, and people say the AC system in this thing is amazing. It's on low right now, and it feels like a damn icebox in here. This is insane how good it is. So I keep looking, and it says there's no trouble codes found, and that flashing red triangle kind of freaked me out because I was like, well, I wonder what that is. I looked it up. Apparently that's to do with tire pressure, which is very likely. They looked kind of low. And then probably that brake wear sensor. There was a brake job done at some point recently, but within the last couple of years, but I bet you they didn't replace the pad wear sensor, and that might be why it's mad. So did we just score the deal of the century? I don't want to speak too soon, but it certainly feels like it. Oh, it's an overfilled transmission. I figure since we're here, why don't we go ahead and drain it and see what we can find. So here's what I managed to pull out. I kind of stopped it as it was slowing down, but quite a bit came out, and you're supposed to be able to pull somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 quarts out when you do a drain. This pan was dirty, so don't fear about the color, but I'm gonna look up and see. I don't remember if this is a 5 or 7 quart pan, but that looks like about maybe 2.5 quarts that I pulled out, and then we'll go check the level now. All right, she's back on the ground. I went through all the gears just as you're supposed to, and we're gonna check it again. Cross your fingers, boys. All right, so now we're like basically bone dry. So we're gonna add 1 quart at a time with just some fresh ATF and get it right into that middle number, and then we'll go take it for another test drive. I'm happy to report that I got us back at the full line, just over, in fact, with fresh fluid. However, I am unhappy to report bad noises coming from the engine. It does not seem to like that. However, we don't have a whole lot to lose, so let's go take it for a drive. Okay, so I haven't even left the driveway, and it's still very upset. If I put it in drive, it doesn't go anywhere. My foot is not on the brake or the gas, and I'm gonna stand on the brake and then press the gas. It doesn't want to go anywhere. I can move it over into 4 instead of D, and it does move forward. I wonder what the possibility is that maybe just overdrive is dead. Is that a possibility? I mean, it goes back in reverse, but like not at the speed that I think it should until, yeah, like it doesn't creep like it should, I don't think. Oh, there it goes. There it just engaged. Huh. Gosh, there's something weird. I want to take it for a full test drive now. Oh my God. Oh, it's very, very unhappy. It is very unhappy. I'm just going to turn around. Well, of course we weren't going to get that lucky. I was really hoping that maybe the overfill would kind of do the trick, but it actually seems like maybe the overfill was kind of holding it together, making it a little bit more drivable than it now is. I've kind of made it worse, to be honest. So I'm gonna do some research and try to investigate what my options are. I mean, getting a transmission and a torque converter shouldn't be too bad. They're fairly plentiful, but that makes the project a lot more work, maybe more exciting. So hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you're excited for this project. I'm inside the cabin because of course my neighbor just started mowing his grass, but it's cool and quiet in here, so I can't ask for much more, despite the fact that the transmission is bad. So in any case, I hope you enjoyed watching this. I am very much looking forward to getting this thing running. It's so exciting and might be some time, but we'll get there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one.